Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. It may interest you to know. My name is Toni and Marcolini, and you're getting what you asked for. I have been inundated with emails and requests to do this particular podcast. So we're here to do it today, and I'm feeling really good about it. I have with me two stars from the Donna Reed Show, Shelley Fabares and Paul Petersen, together for the first time, what I think is decades together. So welcome, Shelley and Paul.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's
Thank you. Hey, sis, how you doing?
doing fine. Thank you,
Well,
Paulito.
good.
And I want to tell you, I've been inundated with requests to say this is the dream. Like to see you guys back together again would be the
Oh,
dream. So
oh,
I'm happy to facilitate this.
thank you.
That's great.
Yes,
Well, just
yes,
Shelley can remind you, we actually go back further than the Donna Reed Show. Was it Sherry Lewis's pilot?
that's right.
Gosh,
That's
the year before Donna Reed even started.
Wow, Sherry Lewis, that's the one with the little puppet?
yes,
Yep, exactly.
that's right. And we were going to be I guess, brother and sister of hers on the pilot. And um, we worked together, but we didn't get to work with her. The pilot didn't go. So I guess we saw her. I guess we did the part of
I
the
think so.
but nobody else has ever seen it in the world. So
But
I
we got to practice our brother and sister act.
yes, that we did. That we did. Indeed.
So
Indeed.
that it would come in handy later.
Yes.
So now I have to jump in. I mean, the stuff I'd like to talk to with both of you, because it's like there's other things in your careers that, I mean, Paul, I definitely want to get to before I let you go. You know, your movie Houseboat with Sophia Loren and Cary Grant, which, wow. So I would definitely want to get to that, but I want to first just stay with the Donna Reed Show for you guys. So do you audition together for this part, but your parts, or are you both just picked separately and don't see each other until you're on set?
Well, Shelley, why don't you tell the tale? Because we did get to test together. It's a process when you do a series. So go ahead, Shelley.
No, I was just thinking, I hope Paul goes to answer this because I can't remember exactly how we did it, but I'll tell you my
Oh,
memory. They put both of us together, but there were a lot of other kids of our relative same age. And and the way I remember this, and this may not be the facts, but this is the way I remember it, they would say they had Donna standing in place on what would be our living room, I guess, and then they'd say, okay, Paul, you come in. And then Paul would be on the side over here, and he'd come in and he'd stand there with Donna and Paul. And then they'd say, okay, Paul, you can step aside. Carl, would you come in? So Carl was in to stand there as Dr. Alex Stone. And we didn't have any dialogue. They were really just looking, trying to match up a family. And then they called me and said, Shelley, come in. And so I did. And that's what we did. As far as I remember, we didn't do a scene together. I don't think it was written yet, but we were together. Do you have a different memory of it, Paul?
no, that's pretty much mine, except Carl Betts wasn't hired yet because they picked us before Carl. And you and I were finally selected. And I think one of my memories is Donna heard me talk like a boy from Iowa, fur and get.
Yes.
And you and I came back, and then they brought in like four dads, and they had Carl and three others, and then finally the family, the Stone family, was set. That's what I remember, and I do remember that the lady from casting, remember Millie Gussie?
Yes, of
There's
course.
a Now, Eddie Foy wasn't there yet. Millie Gussie was the head of casting for Screen Gems.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
Yes.
This is testing my brain cells.
And we did this test scene. It was done on the same set where they did Father Knows Best, which was a huge success at the time. And we were very excited. I was very excited about being on that set, and I'd say, oh, there's where Jim Anderson would come in. And there was, anyway, it's a nice memory to have. And that we got cast was really nice.
Yeah, but I
mean,
try to remind everybody,
launches you both.
we had no idea that them saying yes to us would result in years of steady work. And it's a different era. This wasn't about filming 8 episodes and going on to something else. This was a commitment to 39 episodes per year. So it's a big
Wow,
deal.
that's right. In those days, I mean, I can remember being younger and seeing like 24 episodes a season for shows, but I guess back then they started out longer even.
Yes, 39 years, and you had 13 weeks off. That's what it boiled down to. And because Donna Reed had children of her own at home, we pretty much, as you recall, Shelley, we followed the school year.
Yes, we did. We did. We went to school on the stage where we did the show, which was stage 1 of Columbia
Right.
Pictures. And our schoolroom was just some like 3 walls, with us cordoned off, and they would be doing the show. You can't see my hands over here, and Paul and I would be in the schoolroom, this little tiny schoolroom, and with our teacher, and so as soon as we were finished doing a scene, they would say, okay, Shelley and Paul, back to school. And we would go back into our little cage, and we would continue doing the show. So that our education, when I think of my education there, Paul was a better student than I was. And yeah, no, you were. And Miss Barkley was our teacher. And anyway, she would grade our papers and do, so we did all the work that we did at regular school, but it was done in sort of fast pieces, because they set up the scene that we had just rehearsed, and then they'd call us out and we'd do the scene over again. And anyway, it made it a very interesting way to do. I didn't have any other experience about doing a pilot. But I found out that this is the way they do most of the pilots. They do little pieces, and then they, work their magic and put it all together.
Right. And Lillian Barkley had 3 master's degrees, and it was her responsibility to keep us current with our classmates in regular school.
Yes.
So we were forever being compared with kids that were, going to North Hollywood High or Sacred Art, in your case, Shelley. So it was a challenge, but interesting for kids in the business.
Yes, it's true. Yes. What do you try?
Were you guys, I mean, friends right from the start? I mean, because if you go back and see some of your episodes, there's great chemistry. Like Paul is very annoying to you,
Yes.
right? But you can't make that kind of chemistry up, right? I mean,
That's right. Well, the scripts were written, I think, very well and very true to life. And in answer to the first part of your question, yes, I think obviously we got to know each other much better as we were together. Turned out for like 9 years, and we were very close, by that time. But we sort of clicked from the very beginning. He was annoying to me, I must say. He would find things to do that just made me cringe, but it was typical brother and sister stuff. So it came across, I think, very naturally when I've seen the show, since then. But yeah, I think we just liked each other from the get-go. Really
yeah,
did.
That's for sure. And of course, I had extra practice because I had another sister at home.
Yes.
It was very curious as a child, being aware that we had siblings at home. Shelley had Smokey, that Donna Reed had 4 children at home. And so that there was that template we had to be aware of. And then our crew, they had children at home. So it
Yeah.
was very much a family enterprise.
That's right. It was wonderful.
So Donna Reed, I mean, pretty iconic actress. What was it like to get to work with her on this show?
Paul, you go ahead first.
Well, I tell people, uh, my family's background is Western Iowa. In fact, the adjacent county to the county where Donna Reed was born. And the she was an Iowa farm girl at heart with an overlay of an Academy Award winning actress. And you kind of got both sides of her. Shelley will tell you, I forever in front of people, I called her Miss Reed. But when we were doing the show, it was Mom. I never called her Donna. She had to tell me to stop call her Donna.
It's true. It's absolutely true. I thought I was thinking the same thing, that it just was very easy to call her Miss Reed, but I don't know, we were maybe in the third year of the show or something. And she said to Paul, and she said to me at different times, I think, but why don't you call me Donna now instead of Miss Reed? We've been working together for years now. So I think it's anyway. So Paul said yes, and I said yes. But that took a lot of getting used to, because I Miss Reed for me was just totally fine. I had gone to Catholic school, so the sisters were always Sister Margarita, Sister Joan d'Arc. So very formal names were fine to me. But I had been asked by her to call her Donna, and that many times I would start to say, Miss Reed, could I ask you? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I mean, Donna. Anyway, I finally got it, but it took a while.
Well, I think
So,
another aspect of this, Toni, you should know, both Shelley and I were professional actors. So there was always, besides the personal relationship, there was a professional relationship. I loved watching Shelley work with Donna. Honest to goodness, it was great because Shelley was learning, of course, so much of what Donna had to teach. And Donna was very generous. She put up with our little mistakes and hiccups, and it was a warm and nurturing environment. And I think, frankly, although I struggled a bit longer on the fishing line, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, Shelley's career has been a wonder, and it's connected to years with Donna Reed.
oh, sure. It was a great springboard. I mean, honestly, for both of you to begin your career at that, on a show like that, with an actress like that is sort of leading you, or I mean, maybe teaching is not the right word, but
By example, she taught
By example,
yeah.
exactly, Shelley. A lot of shows, it wasn't like that.
No.
I will tell this, and I'm not telling a story out of school. Robert Young on Father Knows Best admitted that he was an active alcoholic while he was doing that show, an active alcoholic. And the people that came out of that show uh, were affected deeply.
Sure. Yeah, so your experience was a good experience.
Yes.
And I couldn't agree with you more, Paul. I always call Shelley Hollywood royalty. Because
It's true, but
it
it is
absolutely
true.
is. The
Well,
last time, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
I was going to say the last time we were talking about the singing a little bit and how Shelley did not embrace it necessarily, but you were kind of forced into the singing roles, and I guess I was curious. One, what was your perspective to being told that you suddenly had to sing? I mean, that may have been cooler for you, right? Girls like that, so I mean, that may have been
Well,
more fun for
I
you
had a
than it
role
was for
model.
Shelley.
I had Ricky Nelson. It was easy, just hand me a mic and I was ready to go. I've never been shy about that because what's more fun than being a bubblegum star? Nothing I can think of.
I think most people would agree with that. Um, yeah, so I mean, the singing, came kind of suddenly, but you both had singing careers that
Yes.
they go for like a little period of time,
Mhm.
that I mean, I don't know. Did you enjoy it? It seemed to be a source of stress for Shelley. But but was
Yeah.
it for you, or is it something that you look back on and remember,
Yeah,
fondly?
I wasn't stressed. What I was impressed by some very talented and professional singers who would have made a commitment to that life. I was having fun. Uh, you know, I, I said to Toni Dow many times, I was into fast cars and faster women. And if singing made those things happen quicker, good. I was never afraid to stand in front of people and sing. In fact, once we were, Shelley, you might remember this when we flew to Colorado Springs for the Boy Scout
Yeah.
convention. Do you remember
Yes.
that?
Yes, I do.
And we walked out on stage, and there were 100,000 Boy Scouts,
Right.
and they started the national anthem. Well, when the national anthem is playing, you know what you do? You sing. And I sang, and Shelley didn't.
Her mouth was locked.
So it started very, very, very early that you had no interest in singing, Shelley.
Yes, absolutely. Just none whatsoever. Just I I have to say I hated it, but I didn't because I was surrounded. I did hate it. It was just agony for me. But I I was surrounded. Donna was there, not in the actual recording, but all the people that we worked with day in and day out were there in at least with us in the recording process. And that I think helped me a lot, but it didn't make me less nervous. I was as nervous doing the last song that we did as I was the first. I just thought, oh no, this is not this is not me, this is not me. And Paul, what he won't say, but Paul was from the beginning, from the very beginning of the Donna Reed Show, and even before that, before I knew him, Paul was gifted on every level. He could do anything. He was funny on the show. He did some very serious work on the show, and very normal boy activities. He was great singing. When Tony Owen, the producer of the show at that time, Donna Reed's husband, said, oh, we've got an idea. He said, we're going to have you guys sing on the show. And I remember at him saying that, I thought, I heard that was like a death knell to me. And I, oh my God. And I said to Mr. Owen, he was still Mr. Owen to me. And
Yeah.
I said, I said, Mr. Owen, because I was raised as a good Catholic girl. You never said no to an adult, like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. That did not exist. And I said, Mr. Owen, that's a wonderful idea. I said, and Paul can do that great. I said, but he can sing. I said, I can't sing. So thank you for thinking of me. However, I finished the sentence. I can't do it, but you'll be thrilled with Paul. And Paul said, sure, I'll do it. And he did. And he had a huge hit. He had several hits. And anyway, it was a stressful time for me in the business, and a great time for Paul. The fun that he's describing, he did have. He just loved it.
You
Did you
know,
guys get the opportunity to work with James Darren? Right, the
yes,
late James Darren had recently
but
passed.
Yes.
Jimmy adored Shelley. And when we did our albums together, not only the Teenage Triangle, but the Bye Bye Birdie cast album, it was fun to work with Jim. He was one of the great saloon singers of our era. He was up there with Jack Jones and Sinatra. And he was a talented man, but he was a real person that we got to work with. I
And
miss
what's
him
this now? You
too.
guys did the Bye Bye Birdie album with him? What's this?
Yes, Columbia Pictures owned the rights to Bye Bye Birdie. So they threw me and Shelley and Jimmy all together, and we made a cast album for Bye Bye Birdie that Stu Phillips, our A&R guy, did wonderful scores, and we had a ball.
Wow.
Two of us, two of us had a ball doing it. I had
Wow.
One of
an
us,
problem.
one of you was a hostage. Two
Yes,
of you.
I- and I, like a lot of people of that age, um, I had a tremendous, tremendous crush on Jimmy Darren. And
Yeah.
when I first heard that we were going to do this, I just thought, oh my God, I can't even say hello to him. What am I going, I'm going to be recording something with him? It just stopped my heart from going. And we went in and we did do the whole album together, all the songs, they were divided up between us. And I have one picture with a lot of my pictures that I'm laughing really hard. And I don't remember what it was, but I've got my hands over my mouth because I couldn't not laugh. But I was looking right at Jimmy Darren and I just thought, well, he's going to wonder why I'm laughing. And I still don't remember to this day why I was laughing, but we lived through it, and it was fun to do. After it was over with, it was. Yep. I just thought, oh, isn't that amazing? I lived through that experience of acting with Jimmy Darren. Oh gosh, yeah.
Well, he was on the show, Donna Reed Show. Wasn't he on the show for a little while too?
Yes.
3 episodes, yeah.
3 episodes. So who'd he play?
He played a young singer who was out on the road, and Jesse White, a wonderful character actor.
Oh boy, I'll say, with the cigar.
Yes, with his cigar. He played Jimmy's manager. And he was somehow, I don't remember what it was, but somehow Jimmy ended up staying at our house, at the Stone family house. And that was, he got some illness, like a flu or something like that, and had to stay in our house. Well, you can imagine my character was like, oh my God, Jimmy, well, his name wasn't Jimmy Darren, of course, on the show, but it was it's another name like Jimmy Darren. And anyway, we did this one show together, and that was the time that because we hadn't done the album together yet, and I thought, I said to my mother, I said to Donna Reed, I said, Miss Reed, I went back to the formalized name. I said, Miss Reed, it will be very hard for me to do these scenes with Jimmy. I said, because I said, well, I won't go into all the details. And she said, I know. And I said, no. She said, yeah, she said, it's clear you have a crush on Jimmy. And I said, oh, flushed cheeks. And I said, oh, well, yes, I said, but that's right. But I said, I can't sing anyway. But besides that, I'll have to be singing with him. And just, there were several experiences on the series that I didn't think I would live through, but I did. I'm
here to tell.
Yes, right. Anyway, Jimmy was wonderful. As Paul said a little while ago, that he misses Jimmy very much, and I do too. He was a dear, wonderful man, and
talented,
very talented, very
yes.
talented, and beautiful. My God, he was so beautiful,
and raised 2 beautiful boys with Evie.
Yes,
so,
yes, yeah. He was great. He was great.
There's always a personal aspect. Shelley, you mustn't dismiss the singing, because look who we got to work with.
Oh,
there was a group of musicians called the Wrecking Crew in Studio Musicians. They were the best in the business, the very best. And they played on our songs. Right. It was fabulous. I mean, who else gets to have Glenn Campbell as his lead guitar?
That's right.
But there he was.
That's right. It was astonishing. It really was. Hal Blaine was a great drummer and worked on everybody's records. Hal did our records. And I still remember the first time they called me in, because Paul and I and the other people would be sitting in a adjacent booth, and then they would call one of us in, and because the musicians were already in the recording room. And so I remember looking around and saying, oh, who is that man? And they say, oh, he's great. His name is Glenn Campbell. He's a terrific singer. He said, but he does all of the, okay, he does all of the shows with us. And all the people, Hal Blaine, as I said, and several others. And the first time I went in, got called into the room, somebody, I think it was Stu Phillips, said, okay, Shelley, because there was a little recording booth in there, just kind of fake walls. And he said, okay, Shelley, he said, go on in now and we'll start doing your song. And once again, I think all my stories are the fact that I almost died getting ready to do it. Then it's very, very strange, but I did. And I remember thinking, he can't, I knew that he meant it, but he can't mean that I have to go in front of these guys. These are like, I don't know, 20 of them. Paul's right, of the best recording artists in the world. And so I would start with my little voice.
Oh,
It was,
You know what though? They were probably equally as intimidated to be around you guys because at that time you're in, the hottest show on television.
well, I'll say that's very nice. Thank you. I think they liked both Paul and me because we were nice kids. We were just kids at the time, but we were
yeah.
nice kids, and they're people who do that kind of work. They've been around everybody. They would say, one would say to the other, where are you going next? And the other one would go look at his book. And he'd say, oh, he said, as soon as we're there, he said, I'm going over with Sinatra. We're going to be recording for the rest of the night. And then they'd say, one would say, oh, I'm doing Ella's album tonight. And it was just, you kind of went, oh my God, they're talking about all these people. And then oh, Shelley, okay, step back up. Paul, come on, to the mic. Tough.
How lucky we were.
Yes.
Absolutely blessed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was reading that the album that you guys did with, I didn't hear about the one you did of Bye Bye Birdie,
Bye
but
Birdie.
you had done a compilation album, I guess, of just the three of you, and a number of the songs were in the top 40.
Yes, Teenage Triangle 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Silly.
we did have good times, and we were very lucky, both of us. We just sort of were chosen for those parts, as we told you, and then we started singing, and we didn't, but I mean, it was on the show, and they liked that too. I was stunned when they said, oh yeah, okay, we're going to fly you to New York, and you're going to meet with Stu Phillips, and he does our A&R work, and he'll decide the songs. And anyway, it was just amazing. And then Paul's record turned out to be enormously popular. And they did an episode around.
Well, let's not forget a little song called Johnny Angel.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, come on.
No, it was
classic.
It was a good song, and when it was done, it was a good song. And I was as awful as it had been to do it. It was very pleasurable to to do it. And since that time, I've worked a lot with the Alzheimer's Association, and I traveled all around the country as a spokesperson for the association. And I would walk into somebody's office, some producer's office, and it wouldn't be a producer, it would be the head of the school, the head of the school. And always they would say something like, oh, loved you and Paul on the Donna Reed Show. You were just wonderful. And I was so stunned that I mean, we knew that we were there to be seen if we would be okay on the show, on doing their songs. But I didn't expect anybody outside of that to know me. And Paul and I talked about the fact that in those days, we did, as he said earlier, we did 39 episodes a year. And then the 13 weeks after that, we stayed at home. We were just kids. And it was just astonishing to me that we were known, and so many people were watching the show. In those days, you just didn't meet the people that were watching the show. You know, we didn't do interviews like this. Anyway, I'm going on much too long, as Paul can tell you.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. You know, I would tease Bill Cosby with his show because they bragged about an audience that, by the numbers, these are real numbers, got from 11 to 14 million people per episode. Our lowest episode, since there were only 3 networks, with 35 million people every Thursday night were watching the Donna Reed Show. 35 million. It was not only historically true, it was a cultural touchstone, not just for our show. I mean, people, when they tell you that they watched every episode of Wonderful World of Color with Disney, they mean it. People stopped on Sunday night. And after World of Disney, there was Bonanza. You watched it because that's what you did. Amazing, amazing times.
I saw this episode not that long ago of you guys, and I guess somebody's trying to teach. It was a guy, an actor, trying to teach Shelley how to drive, who you
Yeah,
seemingly
Jimmy
had a
Hawkins.
crush on, right? And he was also in Girl Happy. That's why I recognized him. He's one of like Elvis's friends in Girl Happy, but
Yeah.
he's with you, and you're trying to get him to ask you out, and he's only interested in cars, and Paul's like annoying the heck out of you.
Indeed.
Really
It was my
throwing
job.
and you
Yes,
did it well.
we
Right. And she, no matter how many times, she's just like, get lost.
get lost there. And not Paul, Jeff. And yes, it was typical, you know, teenage stuff. And
Still hilarious. That's
yes,
still funny today.
yes,
Yes.
it is. I'm particularly fond of that episode because Jimmy, I had worked with Jimmy for the first time when I was 7 or 8, and he was already starring in the Annie Oakley series.
Right.
Gail Davis, and he played Tag, her brother, and I did one of those episodes. And Jimmy, to this day, it still makes me laugh almost more than anybody else in the world. He just makes me laugh, and they cast him to play this character in the show, and I was so thrilled because it was Jimmy. And anyway, we had a great time. We laughed no end, and it remains one of both of our favorite shows because
Yep.
it was funny. We had a wonderful director, Robert Ellis Miller, and
Oh boy.
yes, and we just had a great time. And once again, I was with an old friend, and we're still friends. We're still friends now. Amazing life.
That's pretty cool. So you did Girl Happy after that, obviously,
Yes,
with him years
yes.
later.
Yes, I had already left the Donna Reed Show, and I was cast to play this Valerie Frank, I think was my name, in Girl Happy. And yes,
Again, singing with Elvis Presley.
yes, again, singing with it. It's just, I still, when I start talking about it, I think that this can't be me talking about my life of something. But yeah, I did. I sounded like Minnie Mouse in the recording that we did for, it's called, I don't know, something about a vacation. And there were 2 other girls in the scene with me, and we were all driving. I was driving in the car, this fake car, you know, half a car. And I was driving all of us down to Fort Lauderdale, which is where we were to spend our Christmas vacation. And Elvis was cast as, he was given a job to do, to play the guy who,
To keep you in line.
yes, to keep me in line. That was it. I knew there had to be an
A
expression.
daunting task.
Yes, it was. Yes. And anyway, that's what it was. And it was great and wonderful to still be working with Jimmy all these years later.
That's a classic episode too. I agree with you. That's one of the funniest, I think. and one of the most, obvious chemistry between the two of you, the fighting, the bantering, even when you're in the car and you're like, just beat it. Like I said, beat it.
You're right. Yeah.
It just comes off really, really natural.
Well,
You guys also had a Christmas episode that's really iconic. I mean, every Christmas they play it as kind of legendary.
do they?
With Buster Keaton.
Oh, yes, with Buster Keaton.
Oh, wow.
Hey, is that the one you're thinking of? Or
That's
is
the
it?
one I
I
was
didn't realize
thinking.
his name, but yeah, I mean, you have it's literally legendary. Every Christmas you
Yes.
catch that episode and they play it.
Well, it was Buster Keaton. How
Yes.
big is it? That's Charlie Chaplin level. And Shelley, you'll remember this when he did his silent bit in
Yes.
the workroom that they put together for him. Gert Anderson just turned the camera on, and they said action, and he worked for 9 straight minutes, complete improvisation as a handyman in a hospital basement. People came from every corner of Columbia Pictures to come to stage 1 to watch him work. It was Buster Keaton.
Yes.
My goodness, how lucky we were.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's a lasting thing. I mean, in terms of Christmas, there are certain episodes or certain shows, especially the big shows, that
Yeah.
you never go a Christmas without it. That show is everywhere Christmas time. So
Well, and look at Donna Reed. Well, and Shelley. It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
You can't have Christmas without It's a Wonderful Life.
yeah.
And if you want a good sports story, you're going to watch Brian's song with that girl right there. I mean, it touched your heartstrings because it's real. It's part of our life. Shelley's part of our life, which it's been what a wonder to have these moments and to know this girl and have her and Jimmy come down here and bring a pizza because I don't get out like I used to. But how lucky. I'm filled with gratitude right now. Filled with gratitude.
Sure, you had yourself even an amazing career. I mentioned earlier, and I want to just sneak this in, but you do houseboat with Cary Grant, Sophia Loren.
right.
I mean,
Well,
what's that like?
Well, that's acting work. But the fact is, I was Mr. G's friend until he died in 1986. It was a wonderful experience, but it's a compartment of my life. The Donna Reed Show is a compartment of my life. My writing career is a compartment of my life. I don't separate them. I'm grateful for each and every chapter, if you will. And I'm amazed that I've been able to survive long enough because I wasn't very careful with my life to be here at 79 to look at you and say, we're doing this interview. Oh, cool.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, you both have led lives that are the stuff that dreams are made of, for certain, and so many different famous movies, actors, singers, you've collaborated with. So
But
that's
it's what you do with it. Shelley had to deal with her mother, who was afflicted with Alzheimer's. And that's bad enough. And it was a terrible experience. And how does she deal with it? She becomes the national spokesperson for the Alzheimer's Foundation. That's the measure of the person. We all have challenges. It's what you do with them that is the measure of the person.
well, I'll second that. You don't have to sell me on Shelley. I'm a big fan.
There you go.
The first time I actually got to see her, I was interviewing her husband, Mike Farrell, and she popped in like unaware that we were in the middle of recording. She kind of popped in to say something to him, and as soon as I saw her, I went all fangirl, right? I was just like,
It's so sweet.
and kind of that's how I kind of wound up begging her to come on the podcast.
And here
But
we are.
yeah, but I agree. You don't have to sell me on Shelley. I'm a huge fan since I was a kid. Grew up watching her. I just
Yeah.
the other day I turned on the Mannix show. I was up, I
Oh,
couldn't sleep, and there she is, right on Mannix.
Yeah,
that's right.
perfect.
Oh, we've had you hear so many terrible stories, some of which are true, most of which are true, about particularly about kids, young kids in movies and television. And it is Paul and I have a slightly different view of this, but I I think it's a very hard life for a child to be an actor in films, because you just we were lucky with the people we worked with. We worked with Donna Reed, and they were so wonderful as people and so wonderful to us that it knocked out a lot of the troubles, not all of them, but part of the troubles of kids who are in movies. And I wouldn't have a child of mine do it, because I know the good and the bad of it. My experiences were all good because it was mostly Donna Reed and Carl Betts, but to learn how to act on a set and to be surrounded with all those people, it's hard. It's not a normal, I put it this way. It's, if you ask most actors, I'll read an article about Jimmy Stewart, or I remember one night I read in Stewart's story, and then the next night I had a magazine and it had Jack Lemmon talking about his work life, and both of them said, and it was hard to find two stars that were bigger than Jimmy Stewart and James Darren. I mean James Stewart, right?
Yeah.
And they both said that every time they finished a job, first of all, when they would first start working on a show, they were sure that they were going to be let go. From the first day, they thought, not going to like me. They're going to say, Mr. Stewart, you can go now. And Jack Lemmon said the same thing. He said he was so nervous every movie that he started. He was sure, just absolutely sure, that he would be let go for being not good enough. Excuse me. So it gives you an idea of how hard it is then to be 7 years old and be acting. It's not a normal way to live. But when
and arguably not representative of the experience that most people have, right? And most people, do have, school and snowball fights. So there's a lot of stuff being traded for that. You have sets and schedules and no horsing around.
Right.
Right.
But the
People
trouble
are relying on you to do the job, when the cameras go.
Yes.
Stuff.
And families are depending on you paying a mortgage. There's lots of stuff here. I can tell you, as the father of children, it is unnatural to call performing a normal and natural act. For actors like Shelley, like me, you go to work to speak other people's words and confuse people about your real emotions. I'm sure Shelley had those days when she had stomach cramps or a headache or things weren't copacetic with friends, but she still showed up and did the work. I know I felt that way. I would no more have missed a day's work than anything. The first time Donna took time off when she came back from India, you remember this, Shelley, she was ill. And all of a sudden I'm walking on the set and going, well, where's Donna Reed? Well, she's not feeling well, so we've suspended production. And I was shocked. It was like, wait a minute, the show must go on. No, the show does not have to go on. There's always a person inside the performer. And for kids, It can be crazy making. It really can be. Shelley,
Excuse
I
me.
can't share with you. I got Pepsi in my cup. Can you need some more water? Water.
I've got plenty of
There
water.
you go. Got something good. I know that coughing.
Yes.
So, do each of you have a favorite episode? Um, yeah, from
Well,
Donna Reed. Would you say that either one of you have one you could call a favorite?
well, I have some pretty impactful one that it's hard to beat the My Dad episode. I mean, that was our family expressing love with a great song written by Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil among their 71 platinum albums that they wrote the songs. You're talking people who did You Lost That Love and Feeling on Broadway, you know, songs like that. But the My Dad episode for me is first rate. What about you, Shelley Bell?
Well, as I said earlier, my favorite episode, just in memory, is the one with Jimmy Hawkins, where he taught me how to. And it was I think, a perfectly written script and perfect for the characters. And I just loved it. I laughed, as I said, all the way through it. Jimmy made me laugh all the time. But that would be my favorite episode. But I think along with that would be this sounds like I'm just going to return the compliment, but it would be your episode with my dad. It's so moving. It's a beautiful song. They wrote a gorgeous song, and Paul performed it just astonishingly well. He's a good singer anyway. Well, but you did. So you don't get to say anything. I have to tell him how good you were now.
Bless your heart.
Well, it's true.
Speaking of music, the people we were surrounded with on a face-to-face work-a-day basis were really quite remarkable. And they had long and illustrious careers. And I was pleased to make their acquaintance. And each of them, in their own way, had something to teach me personally and the culture. But I know Shelley's relationship with Annette, her lifelong friend, was a character building experience. I always loved David Stollery said about Annette that she was effortlessly genuine. She was the same girl selling hot dogs at the Little League field or walking down a red carpet. She was the same girl. Lucky to have known her, to be close to her like you were, Shelley.
Yes.
Incredible.
It was.
And
people...
3 Elvis movies.
Yes, that I have people to this day who say, "Were you in an Elvis Presley movie?" And I say, "Yes, I was." And they say, "Oh, what was it called?" And I say, "Well, I said, Girl Happy." And then they said, "No, that wasn't the." I ended up saying, "Well, I did 3 of them." And they go, "You did 3 movies with Elvis Presley?" Yeah, I did. Anyway, yeah, great. Again, just great fun and amazing to have that happen to you. You know, it didn't seem real at the time, but it was, and it very grateful, incredibly
Hey,
grateful.
we've got the proof. We've got the film. My golly.
Oh,
So
God.
amazing.
They're all, I mean, yeah. I liked personally, Girl Happy was my favorite of the 3.
Yes.
I've seen all 3.
I've-
Even one of them with Bill Bixby, even.
Yes, that was the last one we did together, Clam Bake. Will Hutchins, Bill Bixby, Elvis Presley, and yours truly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's a difference in your hair, Shelley, right? By the 3rd one, I think you're dark haired. But
Yes.
in the original, you're sort of blonde in Girl Happy.
Sort of, this is a very different hairdo now, but my hair was short in the first one, but they so it was the closest to my real hair. But the other two, one was blonde, and then the next one was a wig, a wig for one of them. So anyway, yeah, and somebody wrote to me and they said, well, I don't know quite what the name of all your movies are, but the three that you did with Elvis, I don't remember the names of them. But in the first one, you had such and such color. The second one, you had such and such color. And the third one, another color. Anyway, it was fun.
They're absolutely good. Now, one question I have to know, did you guys have the same opportunity? Like I talk to a lot of actors now who say that there are these like scenes where can't get through the scenes. I forget, like outtakes, right? They
Yes.
start, they start a scene, somebody starts laughing. Did that kind of thing happen even back then? Or I get the feeling you guys were more,
You'd be mistaken, but understand the economics. It was very expensive to process 35 millimeter film, even black and white. And Donna and her husband Toni owned the show, and they did not spend money needlessly. So we don't have outtakes.
True, that's true. We don't. Gee, I forgot about
So
that.
what happens if somebody made a flub or somebody, did you guys just kept going? Like sort of like the theater, you worked around it?
Well, I think Shelley will agree. We didn't have a lot of take twos and take threes. You were talking about 4 professional, well-rehearsed thespians who knew their work and did it. I would have been mortified if I couldn't remember a line of dialogue. Very rarely were there mistakes. And when there were, generally with guest stars like little Charlie Herbert coming and was so distraught about his living situation, he couldn't get the dialogue out. And I was heartsick watching him struggle like that, because I've never known that kind of struggle. And it broke my heart then, and it breaks me up now, looking at what people go through. I always thought the best line Dustin Hoffman had to hear this during Marathon Man, when he was trying to work himself up to play a scene where his teeth were being drilled to cause him pain. And his co-star looked at him running around the set and said, "Dustin, what on earth are you doing?" And Dustin said, "Well, I'm getting ready for the scene." And Lawrence, his star, said, "Why not just act? Just act." And that's pretty good advice, at least in my book.
Yes, yes, it was.
Well, coming from Gail Good, you'd think,
So if you had to say your most memorable moment with Donna Reed, what would it be?
Whoa. What do you think,
That
Shelley
isn't
Val?
too personal. That isn't too personal. Obviously,
No.
you guys confided stuff, to the years.
I don't shy away from personal. What do you think, Shelley?
For me,
When she was ill?
Yes, that was very, very difficult. Donna died pancreatic cancer, and it was a terrible time for her, of course, and for all of us who loved her. It was just very, very difficult. We weren't doing the show anymore, but we had still, Paul, Carl, Donna, and I used to have lunch together once a month, just so that the 4 of us could still see each other once. And we did that for years. But finally we didn't do it anymore. But anyway, to be around Donna when she was so ill, on the personal level, yes, that was just extremely difficult. But the other answer that I would have for you would be, all my stories are sort of related. This goes back to Jimmy Darren. He was playing the same part that he had played before, a singer in town. I think they changed the story a little bit, but it is still Jimmy playing this rock and roll legend who is in Hilldale, where we lived. And the scene was supposed to be that he left town, and I was so upset about it. The scene was, I was on my bed crying, and Donna came in and looked to see what was going on. And then she sat down with me on my bed, and she took her a while to figure out why I was crying. She had an idea, but she wasn't sure, positive. So she asks me leading questions that get the information out that I was really sad over. Buzz Aldrin, I think, was his name in the show. But anyway, excuse me. She said to me, well, let's just take a walk around the stage for a little while. And we were on a lunch hour. And so Jerry Bernstein was our assistant director at the time. And he said, okay, back to lunch. I mean, back from lunch, everybody. And Donna and I are still sitting on the bed. And I still remember Donna looking up, and you know, the expression, a baleful glance, you know, somebody looks askance at somebody. Well, Donna did that to perfection. She looked up from the scene we were doing, rehearsing at that time, and she looked up at Jerry and she said, no, we're not back from lunch yet. Jerry, he said, Jerry and I are just going for a little walk and a little talk. And I was just stunned that when I realized what she was doing, and she did, she walked me around stage one, and walked around, and she talked to me about life and about being in love with somebody that you aren't going to ever have love with that person, and what it means and how hard that is to get over. And so I kept crying, you know. So we finally said, you know, we're back for, Donna looked at Jerry Bernstein and she said, you know, kind of nodded like, okay, we can go on now. And I straightened up, and anyway, that moment or that time of her taking that time with me and understanding what I was going through and addressing it so directly and so correctly, it takes my breath away today. It does. It makes me cry again, just thinking about how wonderful she was, how much she
Well, it certainly helps when the woman who cares about you is the boss. You
Yes.
know, it was the Donna Reed Show.
Yes,
And
indeed.
Our friend Melissa Gilbert had a similar experience with her
Michael.
star, Michael Landon, when she was having a tough day. And he just looked at the whole crew and said, I'm going to talk to this girl. And he just wandered off with Melissa to give her a boost, you know. It's pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
That's the person inside the performer, to know that. I'm lucky.
Yes.
Mine was a fit of embarrassment. I wasn't yet shaving, and they wrote a script called The First Shave. And I was so mortified and embarrassed. It was terrible. I could hardly get through the scene. And Andy McCullough stopped everything in front of the whole crew and Carl. And he took on my part, used my dialogue, but he threw himself on the ground, spasms all over the place, jumped around, hit things. And then he stopped and looked me right in the eye and said, if you're going to be an actor, the joke may embarrass you. But if it's a good joke, forget the embarrassment. Get it out there. And it was like, oh, that's right. This isn't real. I don't have to be embarrassed about not shaving. It's a scene. Something to learn.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you are part of television history, the two of you. I know, again, I have a bad habit of going way over, and I apologize. I know
Oh,
your time is valuable. but I really am so happy that I got this chance to sit down with the two of you. Again, I'm loving doing it just myself, but I have so many requests. You're maybe off of television right now, but you're definitely both not forgotten. I mean, people are still talking about the work, the body of work that you guys, have out there. And still curious to see you guys and clamoring to, get little pieces of you. So I appreciate that the two of you did this, even seeing you guys together. I got to say, the chemistry's still there.
Yes, yes, we are brother and sister. We really are.
Sure, we have been for a long time. Wow. Well,
Indeed.
thank you for having us. It's been a treat, and I'm sorry about the screw up at the beginning, but hey, what the heck? The show came off.
Yes, it did. You managed to fix the material so that we could do this. This has been wonderful to spend this time with you, and to have my brother here and have us together really means a great deal to both of us. I know, and thank you for making it possible for us.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you both for being here. It's truly an honor to get this opportunity. It would have been something that when I was a kid, I could only dream of,
Oh, wow.
right? To get an opportunity to sit with such, television legends and be able to have this conversation. So I'm thrilled that you did it. Again, hopefully I always keep the door open and say, eventually I'll harangue both of you into coming back. That's what I do.
We'll
Uh,
definitely be happy to be here with you.
so I'm gonna close the podcast and say goodbye for now.
Yes.
But they'll both pop up again, everybody. Rest
Yes.
assured. I won't never give Shelley any peace. So,
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you.
so
Thank you, Toni.
thank you.
Thank you, sweetie. Bye-bye.